So, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Soul of a Nerd, and checking in today. Last video I did, um, which I haven't even posted yet, but I'm gonna post that today. I was doing a little bit of talking about the upcoming Doctor Strange sequel, Multiverse of Madness, which is had a recent trailer, and the trailer is just nuts. I mean, I said in that video, it's the best MCU trailer I've ever seen. Period. Like no cap, no exaggeration, no hyperbole. The best MCU trailer. What is my camera doing? The best MCU trailer that I've ever seen. Um, Definitely the best one since probably Infinity War. Um, yeah, just amazing. The elements of the horror elements that they were hinting at, that they hinted at since the beginning of the first, details that were coming out about this movie. What in the world was that noise? My phone was beeping, and I don't even have it's set to silent, or it's on vibrate, so I don't know why my phone is making any type of noise. But yeah, since the first details came out about this movie early on in production, they were talking about having an element that was like a horror movie. Again, Scott Derrickson was brought on to do the first one for that very purpose. I'm sure their thinking was, introduce the character, and eventually we're going to get into some more supernatural vibes. So supernatural horror movies, that stuff, there is a lot of overlap in terms of tone, color palettes, visual effects, pacing, you know what I mean? The visuals and the anything that's visual, even the music, that's going to go along with the scenes and stuff like that. The lighting, camera angles, editing, all of that. There's a specific style or techniques that involved when you're doing that with horror genre, and that's what I think they wanted to do with Doctor Strange. I mean, they kind of did in the first one, just by anytime they get into that mind bending, dimension shifting type stuff, it's kind of some parallels. Um, but I've always felt like they probably were going to have a harder leaning into that for future sequels for Doctor Strange. So here we are. And again, early reports were saying Kevin Feige mentioned it would be like Marvel's first horror movie. And again, fan speculation, and the people who do frustrate me about this fan community, this genre of movie fans, when they this level of nerdism or geekdom, where these people just get way too far reading into what they think people are saying, especially when it then turns into reasons for criticizing, those weird fans. And this is just, I guess these people have always existed, but this age of social media and YouTube and, message boards, all the keyboard warriors and weirdos, they get to sit around stewing and plotting and seeming like their joy of existence comes from supposedly being a fan of something, but always finding ways to criticize it and be negative about it. You know what I mean? And well, and then of course you got the split line drawn in the sand, battle lines between Marvel in DC, or Marvel and Sony, or just people who generally want to speak out against Marvel, as just movie fans, period. So then it becomes a chance to use the fact that this is, just some reason to throw a backhanded cheap shot to say, man, this kiddie Disney, they're not going to make a horror movie, blah blah blah, which to me is pointless anyway, because they never said that. They never said we're making a horror movie. If Kevin Feige says this is the MCU's first horror movie, what he's saying is within the confines or context of the MCU brand, in atmosphere and universe, this would be their foray, their little dipping their toes into the water of horror. I mean, I don't know why it's this hard to figure this out at this point. A comic book movie, a superhero movie is what I call them, is a superhero movie. That genre is built upon good guys and bad guys, action sequences, period, and battles of some sort, good and evil, in the gray areas in between, and action again of some sort, and fun. Sorry, hate to disappoint people, but fun sometimes. I mean, depending on your brand. And Marvel has said their brand is designed to be fun, and I'm here for it. They're doing a great job of it. So with that being said, that's the genre they're in, okay? But in that genre, they are making heist movies with Ant-Man, family royalty dynamics, coming of age, I mean, whatever you want to call it, with Black Panther, cultural, mythological type stuff. They're making fantasy, like sci-fi fantasy to an extent with the Thor movies. They're making space odysseys with Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they're making political thrillers with Falcon and Winter Soldier on Disney Plus, and Captain America Winter Soldier. They've made coming of age movies, as I was saying, Spider-Man, all three of his movies, teen romance almost type vibes. So, and then, you've got supernatural / horror element type movies like Doctor Strange. It's not that hard to figure out. These movies do cover different genres, which makes them great superhero movies. Good to great. They're not all great. I'm not here to say that every MCU movie has been great, but I'm saying generally speaking, the MCU is great. So with that being said, I am going to pull up the trailer for Doctor Strange, because I wanted to watch it and comment on it, because I didn't get a chance to do that in my last video. I just played it once, but I'm going to play it again and give my reactions here, because this trailer is bananas. Shout out to Captain America, by the way, Steve Rogers, the real Captain America, the true Captain America. By the way, I'm supposed to be doing a state of the MCU concept, and I've kind of started it. I kind of started with the last video, but it turned into a Doctor Strange video, which made more sense anyway, because that's more current, or upcoming. That's what's right in front of us, is Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. To do a true state of the MCU, I really do think at some point I'm gonna get a guest and go, and do something bigger, because there's a lot to talk about. Because I really do want to come up with bullet points and run down the line of what's happening, coming up, and what has happened in different side discussions. And one of them would be thoughts on this Captain America 4, which has been announced officially. I guess it's semi-officially, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because there hasn't been a thing where Kevin Feige has actually said we're doing a Captain America 4. or that we have a release date, even a year, what, or anything like that. I guess it's truly official when they give you a release date and they actually do some kind of announcement where they're saying, and they show you a logo, that this is a movie that's coming up, like they have now done with Fantastic Four and Blade for that matter. Those are more official than any movie for Captain America, really. Um, but yeah, let me pull this up. But yeah, thoughts on that idea that they're doing a Captain America 4 based on Sam Wilson taking on the mantle? That would be something definitely worth talking about for a state of the MCU type conversation. Let me pull this up. Actually, how do I want to go about doing this? I'm just gonna watch this, and I'm probably gonna that'll be it for this video. I would like to do another video, and I will be. And this is Batman week, by the way. On another note, as far as the DC Marvel fanboy quote unquote wars, you know, um, this is March 1st today, 3 days, and the Batman is out. I can't wait to see that joint. So I am going to do a video in preparation, I guess. I'll probably sometime between now and Friday. So maybe I'll be doing it today just to give some thoughts leading up to going to see it. Just general thoughts about the whole idea of this movie and Batman in general. And I guess, again, by extension, the DC movie franchise. I can't even really call it a universe, but the DC Warner Brothers movie collection. I guess that's what I could call that. Oh, why did I just click this off my screen? I'm tripping. So, last but not least, let's go on ahead and bring this up. Doctor Strange, yo. Two weeks ago, is this it? Yeah, all right. Let's go. Let me share it. And let's go. Turn on my sound. There it is. Here we go.
Every night, I dream the same dream. And then...
Okay, right here. The music. It's like, what the heck? This is where it's like, I know this is just a trailer, but for the contingent that keeps calling Marvel's movies for kids and kiddie, childish, whatever, in the comedy fest. Now what? I mean, look at this. What the heck? Look at this image I just paused on. This is what Scott Derrickson and Sam Raimi bring to the table. And again, I was saying this in my other video. I don't know how much of this Scott Derrickson put together and then Sam Raimi took over for him. You know what I mean? But they're both different directors, so I'm sure there was different touches, details and nuances that they brought to the visuals. And again, I believe Scott Derrickson walked away because Marvel then kind of changed their agreement with what he was originally hired to do. Unfortunately and fortunately, it just is what it is, for better or for worse, as I said before. Because of the deal they had to re-up with Sony, which caused them to make that Multiverse movie with Spider-Man, which I think Sony forced that element into that third movie. Therefore, that caused Marvel to then say, well, I guess we almost have to follow up with this in Doctor Strange now, because he can't just do this in the Spider-Man movie and then just go back and do whatever the plot they had for the sequel for Doctor Strange, coming off of what he just did in Spider-Man movie. So I think they just said, fine, you know what, this is another creative opportunity, and this is where I give Kevin Feige and crew props, because they probably just said, you know what, yeah, we could still make something great anyway. You know, they're not stuck into a narrow perspective. But I promise you, he don't go too far away from what he wants to do. So that's why I think they then figured, well, you know what? I mean, and maybe they already did have ideas to do sort of a multiverse. Well, it's called Multiverse of Madness anyway. So who knows? Yeah, and I guess now I'm thinking about it, they had announced Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness before we even knew what the third Spider-Man was going to be. Matter of fact, they announced that before Spider-Man Far From Home even came out, or right after. Now I'm thinking about it, because it was Comic-Con of 2019 when they announced this movie's title as part of Phase 4. So that would have been like within weeks of when Spider-Man Far From Home came out, which I still believe they did not have a plot of bringing in Toby and Andrew, or Doctor Octopus and Lizard and Electro. I don't think it was meant to. I don't think Spider-Man, the third Spider-Man movie, was going to be a multiverse movie. I think it was going to be about him dealing with the repercussions of what happened with Mysterio. That's my opinion. Maybe they were going to hint at the multiverse, but that there also is that point that people don't realize that's part of their contract. If you pay attention, every Spider-Man solo movie in the MCU with Tom Holland, that is, what I'm saying, has had a Marvel MCU, Marvel owned, character in it. First one was Iron Man. Second one was Nick Fury. And then you've had Happy in all three of them. But besides Happy, I'm talking about like a main, you know what I mean? A main player. So you had Iron Man, you had Nick Fury, and now you had Doctor Strange. That's not by coincidence. They have to have an MCU character, Marvel, Disney owned character, appear in these movies. It's probably some kind of loophole for them to avoid giving up their rights. You know what I'm saying? So it's weird. I think Sony is like, you all have to put one of your characters in, so it still doesn't count as us not making a Spider-Man movie on our own. I'm trying to say, like, it makes it feel more like we have leased him to you if you're putting him in a movie with your own characters, if that makes sense. Even though you would think, well, why would that benefit Sony? And I'm trying to explain that because, like I said, if Sony lets them make a Spider-Man movie without their other Marvel characters, then essentially, why wouldn't they just give up Spider-Man to the MCU altogether? That's what I'm trying to say. And I just have a feeling when they wanted to make this deal, the lawyers probably told them, like, look, you can't let them make a Spider-Man movie because you would actually be forfeiting your rights if you let them make a solo Spider-Man movie. But they looked at the loophole and they said, but if you treat it like you're letting them make a Spider-Man movie in their own universe, meaning like how they do the Hulk, and that's probably the precedent that they used, is that Hulk appears in movies where his name's not in the title, and he's a supporting character, or he's in an ensemble. I mean, Spider-Man's name is still in the title, but they probably found a way around that. But it's like you still got to put MCU characters in there. And because Sony likes the rub that they get from Spider-Man being in a movie with Iron Man, with Nick Fury, with Doctor Strange, these other characters that already have credibility. And then when they go make their Sony movies like Venom and Morbius previously, I mean, now it's almost like, there's connections. But before we knew there was a connection, it was just they were getting fringe benefits of making people believe or giving the illusion, that there was a connection. That's my theory. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I digging too deep? Am I way off? Am I just a Marvel shill, not trying to give Sony any credit? I firmly believe this is how this arrangement goes. So But yeah, so it forced Marvel's hand to kind of tweak their own Doctor Strange movie. And I think that's what made Scott Derrickson say, look, I didn't want to do no movie where I got to drag um, X-Men characters and Tobey Maguire, who's rumored to be in it again, another Spider-Man and all this stuff y'all are doing. I just wanted to make a Doctor Strange sequel where he's dealing with, whatever villains are there and Wanda. I think he was down with that. You know what I mean? Because if you look at it on paper, if it's just about Doctor Strange, Wanda introducing America Chavez, who this is right here, and whatever, and bringing back Mordo and as a villainous type of whatever situation, or a antagonist, maybe not villain, but an antagonist, and then bringing in villains from Doctor Strange's mythos and rogues gallery, so to speak, of his villains, and expanding the mystic supernatural world. I think that was probably Scott Derrickson's, that's what he came to do. So you start talking multiverse and I got to bring this character and that character. And it's understandable. These directors be ready to be like, nah, that's not what I signed up for. So they bring in Sam Raimi. And my point is, this dude, well, we may never know, or we may know somewhere down the line, like what the transition was, kind of like what happened with Justice League. You had Zack Snyder's version, and you what he started, and then Joss Whedon came in and butchered it. And then we get to see kind of in retrospect what was what, what elements came from which director. So we may get to see the differences, but all I know is this stuff right here is sick. I mean, look at this face. I don't even know what this is. It's almost like a mummy because it looks like these are bandage wraps almost, which is interesting when you think about Moon Knight dropping this month as well, which I definitely want to talk about that in a state of the MCU type thing, or in a video dedicated to the idea of Moon Knight. But yeah, let me just keep playing. This sounds or music, whatever you want to call this, in the background is nuts. And again, the visuals.
The nightmare begins.
Basically, everything about this looks like a horror movie. You would think this is not some Marvel Comics movie right from the beginning. I mean, you could, but you wouldn't necessarily know. You would definitely know that was some psychological, supernatural horror shit that they just showed, and what you're hearing from the music, the narration, the visual, the color tone, even the editing. Again, it's like jump scare stuff already.
I did what I had to do to protect our world.
You cannot control everything, Strange. You opened the doorway between universes, and we don't know who or what will walk through it.
Wanda, what do you know about the multiverse?
Viz had his theories. He believed it was dangerous.
He was right.
I'm sorry, Stephen. You're dead.
I gotta stop right here. I mean, this music and these different scenes they keep showing, they just look so bananas. Like the work that must go into in post-production to give us visuals like this, like we're looking at right here, or that one before where they're stepping into that thing right there with the door. Yeah, the doorway that's just floating in the realm of dimensions or something. Nuts. Let me go back and yeah, I've heard about some of these characters are going to be introduced. I'm kind of tripping on like, what the heck are they doing introducing like a minotaur looking horned animal mix? Like, what the heck is that? Like, since when do we get characters like that in Doctor Strange's, sorcerer clique? Yeah, it's kind of crazy. What was I about to say before that? Yeah, just the color tones and the oh yeah, let me go back to this. Yeah, when he said I did what I had to do to protect this world. Um, that's interesting to think, what is he referring to? And I've already heard people talk about it, theories, on different channels. John Campea, for example, and I mean, I've heard maybe it was him or someone say that they think that he's referring maybe even to something else than Spider-Man, and that it has something to do with what happens in something he does within this movie. This is just getting into this nerd unnecessary speculation. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's unnecessary, but is it that deep? Right now, I actually think it's pretty straightforward. I don't think they're trying to be a misdirection or anything. Um, that's not what appears to be in that particular line. You know, I think even the context of when he ends up saying that line in the movie, it may not be because those exact words or something like that. Because Marvel's known for changing up lines of dialogue or the tone of the voice. The context ends up being completely different what you thought. But my point is, I do think that this stuff that's going to happen in this movie is going to be, what, the more, because I was going to say, I think it is directly related to what he did at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. Because it wouldn't even, because like, why wouldn't it be? Like, the dude cast a spell that made people forget who Peter Parker is. And he said he had to do something pretty significant to close the windows of this multiverse, or close the doors or whatever. So how could it not be something that has to do with what he did? I mean, he said he was trying to protect our world, and that is what he was doing. Because remember, they were saying he was having entities from other dimensions and other universes trying to enter, and he had to stop them. So of course that has something to do with spilling over into this movie. Now, what I will say, as I was just saying this right now, is it still could be something else that he does. So yeah, he may do something else in this movie that makes him say that line. But I personally think that line is directly tying to what he did in Spider-Man. Because Wong left with the thinking that he wasn't going to do that, and then he came back and he has, which is also cool because I'm guessing they're going to suggest that when Wong left, he went to what we saw him doing in Shang-Chi. Maybe, which was, going to the underworld to fight Abomination. But even if that's really just based on, either way, if it's based on him speaking of what he did in Spider-Man No Way Home or something else he does early on in this movie, either way, he's going to say something, and there's going to be some element of this movie that deals with what he did in Spider-Man No Way Home. Even if that's just between him and Wong, because again, who else would really know? Because the spell made people, I guess, forget everything that happened, or no? Which is one of the questions that came out of watching No Way Home. Do those people, like at the end, MJ's got the bandage on her head still and stuff. Does she know that she was up there fighting some dudes? You know what I mean? And Spider-Man saved her, and she just doesn't know who Peter Parker is. Is that what's supposed to be the case now? Which I guess is the case. That's my guess. That's my takeaway. So in other words, people know what happened. I'm trying to say they saw it, and I guess they saw Spider-Man and Doctor Strange handle it. And I would just think this movie has to be picking up on the repercussions of that, and that maybe he just didn't quite seal the deal as well as he thought he did, and there's still some openings in the portal or whatever, and now you got multiverse stuff still happening. That would make more sense to me. They don't really need to then go any further. Like, I don't know why he would need to be doing something else in this movie that triggers this. That would almost seem like overkill. But if they do it well and it's creative, like maybe he does clean it up, but because of what he did, there's some other consequence that he's like, I need to undo this one. Maybe it's something that has to do with is her name Rachel? Well, no, her real name is Rachel. Dang, what is her name in this movie? Is that her name? Ain't her name Rachel something in real life? I think she's a good actress. she's funny and kind of cute. Just a good, entertaining person to watch on screen, and everything I've seen her in. Going all the way back to Mean Girls, and but yeah, her Rachel McAdams. Yeah, that's her name. I've never seen The Notebook, by the way, but I know she's in that. Um, but yeah, I forget what her name is in the movie. Monica, Veronica, I don't know. But if it has something to do with her, like something changed about her life because of what, and he's like, wait a minute, I don't want that, because that would almost remind you of what happened in the What If. I've heard people speculate that it could tie into something like that. But I don't think, I don't see, again, the movies, Kevin Feige is a producer, director. I don't see him copying and literally copy and paste elements, especially not big ones like that. Like, okay, she died in What If, and that caused him to keep wanting to undo her death or prevent it. I don't see that. Like, she's not going to die and he wants to go back and prevent her from dying. I don't see them doing that. You just did it. So it could be something else involving her that he wants to try to undo and does some spell. And then he's talking about, but why would he say I had to protect our world? See, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think there's going to be any new element, new action that Doctor Strange commits or performs that he would be referring to with that line, or that even has that much significance. I think this really will all stem from what he did at the end. Well, the first spell he did in the first place, and then the one he had to do in the end in No Way Home, because in both cases he really was toying with stuff, like he did a spell that was a combo of closing the portals, but also was going to make people forget who he was. Like, what are you doing? And it's probably like that kind of thing. Like, what the heck are you doing, bruh? You're doing double whammy spells out here, and it's causing some craziness. And that's why I think, there's rumors that there's going to be alternate versions of Captain Marvel. I'm pretty much 100% seeing the stills and people talking about this. Well, it's going to show up here, and I'll address when we get to it. So let's keep it moving.
Desecration of reality will not go unpunished.
Now, right there, that went totally over my head the first probably 2 or 3 times I saw this, which was the day of Super Bowl. And it wasn't until I started watching, like that next day, that Monday, people talking about those escorting security bots being Ultron robots looking. And I was like, dang, those are. When Ultron took over the Iron Man suits, I was like, gosh dang, that is what those are. So it hints at Iron Man, and people are suggesting that, of course, this is the let's just call it what it is. This is going to be the Illuminati, which, again, that's sick. Like, you talk about keeping something under wraps. Like, nobody was mentioning the Illuminati popping up. I don't remember anybody saying that. People were talking about alternate, because it was going to be a multiverse. So you're going to see, there's rumors Tom Cruise is going to be there playing an alternate version of Iron Man, and that there will be alternate versions of Spider-Man. There will be an alternate version of this person, that person. But I did not hear anybody talking about no Illuminati being introduced or suggested or hinted at in this movie. And until this scene. And even then, it's like, as he's walking in here, I'm not thinking about Illuminati. I'm thinking, okay, well, this is different. It got him going through some council. That's why this movie looks insane. Think about how many different things are being suggested to happen in this movie. That's Mordo, I believe. That looks to be a woman, because you almost see the long hair. And then that looks like somebody with something around their neck, or something that's lit up or has a reflective light to it or something. So it's going to be interesting to see who that is. I've heard theories that could be a multiverse Black Panther. That could be Wanda, a multiverse Wanda, or whoever. Who else did they say? I forget who. But that's probably Mordo. But you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's probably another chair right there. 6, like right behind his shoulder there. So you almost have to fill in the chairs. with some other Illuminati members, which could be Reed Richards, could be Tony Stark, Black Bolt. From these are things I've read about. I'm not a comic nerd to even know this stuff, but I've learned enough about it from following the MCU about the Illuminati. Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Doctor Strange is actually in the Illuminati in the comic books. So obviously you're going to tweak it up a little bit, and maybe he ends up part of the Illuminati by the end of the movie. That's what would make a lot of sense to me. And it looks like they're doing a multiverse Illuminati that's contained or made up of different universes, people from different universes who have this pocket where they exist from each of their universes to oversee the multiverse, which is kind of dope. It's almost like what happened with the Timekeepers in Loki. Hell, a Loki variant might be on there. I don't know. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what these are, who these are. But yeah, I'm looking at that. Professor X is probably sitting right here, based on the scene we're about to see next, or the shot we're going to see next. The Professor X is sitting here. So I guess that would leave a seat for Iron Man. Well, Mordo is going to sit in one of these seats, and then Reed Richards. I think that would just be sick. If you got a alternate Tony Stark, an alternate Black Panther who may not be T'Challa, maybe it's an alternate Killmonger playing him. That would be dope. Unexpected and very weird. Professor Xavier, whoever this woman is, maybe it's Medusa from instead of Black Bolt. Mordo, and then Reed Richards. That would be nuts. Let's go.
We should tell him the truth.
Which right there. Now, when I first saw that Super Bowl ad, yeah, I mean, immediately I'm like, wow, okay. That's Patrick Stewart. That is Charles Xavier. Like, Marvel just gave us that off rip. But it was so well done because you're not even showing but barely a glimpse of a bald head. But they're basically counting on, if you've been watching these movies, you recognize the voice, you know what he sounds like, you got to be putting two and two together. There are some people who didn't get it at all. They're completely clueless. All they watch is MCU. They never even watched the old X-Men movies. Or even if they did, some people just aren't quick to make connections. You know what I mean? Seriously, there are people who just watch stuff all the time and just don't notice the details. That's why you have people like me, nerds, and some of y'all who help fill in the gaps for those people. And sometimes it helps them enjoy the experience more, like, oh, wow, who knew? Or some people are like, oh, okay, well, and that's where you find out your spectrum of your nerdism. All of these shots are dope. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. This one is probably the least, desirable in my opinion. It looks creepy and freaky to see his face breaking up like that. But I think the fact that, and it's probably this may be one of those differences between Sam Raimi and Scott Derrickson. I don't know, but I think the fact that it's done in such a bright way is what throws me off. It doesn't really look as creepy as it should. If they'd have had done some different lighting on this, darker, to the way it looks, it might have looked a little creepier. But generally speaking, if your face is breaking into pieces, that's trippy. Everything doesn't have to be damn near horror level. You can just have some odd, trippy stuff as well, which they did in the first movie. Which is cool, because if some of it's not as dark and grotesque, or as sinister looking, that actually keeps people's moods floating around. And sometimes it's just something that's just a little weird looking, and then other times it's really disturbing looking, or whatever you want to call it. But one of my favorite moments is coming up.
Things just got out of hand.
That's one of them. I mean, look at him. Look at that face. Good acting. Great acting. Like, what even made him do it like that with his mouth. Oh, man, he looks, man. Okay, here we go. So, well, that thing right there, that was Wanda taking on the variant, or not a variant, but a multiverse version of Captain Marvel. I think I've heard enough people point it out. It was nothing I figured out myself. Heck, the first couple times I saw this trailer, I didn't even notice that. Like I said, that's so quick. It's like, okay, I didn't even necessarily know that was Wanda. I'm like, well, there's two people fighting. I couldn't even follow the action to know who those two people were. By the way, let's talk real quick about this subplot that looks like it's happening with Wanda. I'm going to love it. I just already know I'm going to love the subplot of Wanda's journey. There's a lot of things I could say about what the heck do I think is happening, but I'm going to give it some more time. Maybe another trailer will give more insight or something, because I'm not going to take that time on this one. That's America Chavez. So again, they're introducing her. I don't know much about her. It's just cool that they're going to introduce a character. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it. I think they'll do a good job of it. Yeah. Who knows what they're watching?
You break the rules. Look out!
Oh, and I'm totally forgetting about these little creepy characters. So again, that's like less horror and just some more bonkers sci-fi. So again, it looks like there's going to be some of everything. This is a lot to show, and I don't mean a lot in terms of giving away anything. I'm saying it's a lot to show in a trailer to give you an idea of how much different elements, is the best way I can say it, are going to exist in this movie, from plot points to visual effects to characters to types of energy, or you know what I mean? What is this movie going to be dealing with? In other words, it's like it's going to be a lot. I mean, that's just what they call the multiverse of madness, because this is a lot.
To become a hero, I do it. I become the enemy.
I mean, look at the nod to WandaVision, using the WandaVision house. Love it.
It doesn't seem fair.
I love Elizabeth Olsen. She's just bonkers in that role. That's a generic shot, her jumping and throwing a fist. I mean, I thought that was probably the, lowest point of the whole trailer. It's like, come on, y'all. It's all good, though. But this creature is actually creepy looking the more I'm looking at it. And I think when we see the movie, it's probably going to be even more so, It's probably aren't even totally finished edits visually, visual effects. That's it. That every time I see that part, I mark out. I don't know what it is about that scene. Whoever was the person responsible from directing that one, it could have been during Scott Derrickson's early shots or Sam Raimi. That moment where Wong screams strange, I get a chill in my spine every time. And I don't even know what it is. His scream sounds so intense. It just makes me get amped for this movie. And I'm just waiting for what is the setting in the context of that moment where he's screaming like that. And I like the fact that he calls him strange, and in Wong's accent, everything about that actor, Benedict Wong, works perfectly for the way he plays off of Benedict Cumberbatch in the movie. If you ever notice, one of the things I definitely love, Wong is definitely one of my favorite dudes in the MCU. It's almost like how I felt about Black Widow through phases 1 and 2. She's clearly not a main character, but you really do love her. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, as far as just a definite, they always gave her good material, and they always give Wong good stuff. I'm gonna back that up a little bit. That's my favorite moment of this trailer. Every time I see it, the way the music, the scene, that gray, cold lighting and everything, the way that scene looks, color palette, and him just screaming, strange. Strange. It's like, you know what I'm saying? He has the accent. It's just, I don't know, it works perfectly. And he's shaking. Like, good gosh, that scene looks nuts. And then they follow it with this. Look at this shit. Come on. Oh my gosh. It's masterful. Listen to that sound coming right and these suckers' arms are coming out. Look at that face, man. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't wait for this joint. That sucker is that's what you call a what do you call that? Not a bombardment. That is a overload. There we go. Yes. That's an overload of the senses right there. Seriously. Those visuals, the man screaming, trembling, the way that scene looks with the color palette, and then the way they're editing it from one scene to the other, one clip to the other in that moment. And then that's music hitting, and then that visual at the end, like nuts. So it ends completely looking like a freaking sick, disgusting, disturbing horror movie. And I'm here for it. But don't be confused. This is Marvel. It's a superhero genre. It's a superhero company. They're not about to make a horror movie. You're going to get those elements, and then you're going to get a good story in between that's going to come across like it's comic bookish. Okay. And there's going to be some humor. There's going to be some humor. So don't get mad. Because really, again, this is a 2-minute trailer. So people do have to look at it like, that is 2 minutes and 16 seconds out of a 2-hour movie. That's not telling you anything about the movie's plot, the movie's tone, the movie's action, you know what I'm saying? The movie's dialogue, the movie's humor. You know what I mean? It doesn't tell you anything. The editing, pacing, that could all be garbage at the end because in the trailer just looked really good. I highly doubt it though. So that's it. That's it, y'all. Thanks for checking me out. I'm going to stop sharing this screen. And let's just finish it off by saying I can't wait for this joint. I mean, yeah, it's not even close. There is no other movie coming out in 2022, superhero genre or otherwise, that I'm looking forward to more than this Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. For numerous reasons. Again, Doctor Strange is probably, now that you've retired Captain America, retired Iron Man, you know, Thor is kind of in a limbo. Hulk is like been neutered and, you know, neutralized. Who knows what's going on with him? Black Widow is dead. Like I said, Tony is dead, retired, whatever you want to call it. Doctor Strange is by far, without a question, I'm not gonna say by far, he is easily definitely my favorite MCU character going right now. I mean, unfortunately, because T'Challa appears to be gone and Chadwick Boseman passed away. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest, even if he was still around, Doctor Strange is still my favorite character because he just became that through Infinity War. So in that one movie where he wasn't even heavily featured, but then again, he kind of was, you know what I mean? And they did a great job again, going back. They did that because they knew he's not getting a sequel. He's not getting a proper sequel. So they did a lot to develop his power set and his character and everything and his significance in Infinity War so that we could prepare for him. Kudos to them for doing that. They subtly gave us damn near a sequel in terms of like expanding on him and his character, so that we be ready for this, which feels like his third outing almost, you know. But yeah, he's number one. Number two is Wanda. Number three would be the concept of the Black Panther character, but we'll have to see. And then I guess Thor is number four, as far as, you know, just off the top of my head. Of course, I'm looking forward to seeing Moon Knight. I'm looking forward to Daredevil's reintroduction to the MCU. I'm looking forward to Blade, the Fantastic Four, and then of course whatever they do with the X-Men. But see, it's hard, you know, that's the point. There's nothing you could really say. Marvel's in an interesting spot right now because it really is a reset. Like, look at who I named. I mean, Captain Marvel, you know, she's I mean, she's not even on my radar. I'm probably gonna like Monica. I mean, yeah, not Monica. Yeah, Monica. I'm probably gonna like Monica Rambeau's future better than, you know, Captain Marvel's future. Um, yeah, man, I can't wait. That's the trailer live reaction, so to speak. Tell me what y'all think in the comments about anything you've seen me say, about what you think about the trailer, what you think about plot of the movie, the director's switch, you know, any of that stuff. Let me know what you think. And eventually, I'm gonna get with the right people, and I want to do something with a panel and do some state of the MCU talk. And definitely by the time this Doctor Strange movie is coming up, I really hope and expect to have a upgraded production value to my content and do some really fun, interesting, entertaining, engaging stuff in preparation for Doctor Strange. That's 2 months from now. And just so that by the time Black Adam and Flash and Thor Love and Thunder and those movies come out, you know what I mean? It'll be some really hype, hot, interesting content that I'll be putting together for y'all. But for now, again, thanks for checking me out in this simple mode of just honest nerd reaction and nerd theorizing. And that's it. Holla at y'all next time. Brother Phil signing out. Soul of a Nerd.